he could have gotten with, he chose 50 Cent's baby mother.
It's a lot of variables to this particular question. Because I talk to a lot of people, older, younger, even my daughter, who's 22, she didn't understand it. So people give their opinion based on what they've experienced and their environment, people they've been around. So to the people that understand boundaries and respect, I always tell men you should never date another man's girl if you're not.
50 Cent is making waves again, this time over surprising details that never made it into his Netflix documentary about Diddy. According to 50, the series was loaded with so much material that even 4 full episodes couldn't cover everything, forcing several major revelations to be left on the cutting room floor. One of the most notable omissions reportedly involved a deeply personal connection that was cut purely due to time limitations. Instead of holding it for a possible second season, 50 has suggested that this unseen footage could eventually be released on YouTube. Since the documentary dropped, he says even more people have stepped forward with new information, while others continue to question why he's so determined to keep pulling back the curtain on this story.
Exactly.
Some who had been taking shots at him for years.
Absolutely.
On purpose.
And he went after her knowing that they had beef.
Right. And slutted her out. Just slutted her out. Having a whole basketball team run a train on her. And
I
just
totally
the whole
agree.
thing, right?
Totally agree.
Right.
But his reputation from when he worked at Uptown, I'll be sure's girlfriend.
Oh, Kim Porter.
Kim Porter.
Right.
That's his reputation.
I'll be sure his baby mother.
Baby mama.
Yeah.
Then Eric Serum, his friend, the one that had she had his baby, Mia. So he's had a reputation of going after people.
Tupac's ex-girlfriend. He got a baby with her too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So my point that I'm making to the men listening, well, if you don't understand this, then you just poorly educated and don't really have common sense. It's a no-no. There's no way I would go after Vlad's ex-girlfriend.
Right.
I'm so loyal that if I met a woman and she said, "Oh yeah, I used to date Vlad," I can't with you, baby.
Right.
I won't even put my, excuse my language, because that's how I move. Other people don't move like that, but you see me in Paris, you see me all over the world. Why would I would?
He didn't hold back, making it clear that crossing a line like that shows a serious lack of respect. He explained that throughout his life, he's never knowingly gotten involved with anyone who had a past connection to one of his friends, because to him, that's an unwritten rule you simply don't break. He also pointed out that Diddy is far from limited when it comes to options. With his fame, wealth, and global influence, he has access to people everywhere, which makes the situation even more difficult to excuse. From TK's perspective, this wasn't a harmless mistake or bad judgment. It was a deliberate choice, especially when you consider the long-standing tension between Diddy and 50 Cent. Given that history, the situation takes on a much more intentional and calculated tone.
A lot of footage had to be down. The documentary had to be downsized. You understand? I don't really believe that, because a documentary is a documentary, and they could have had 45 minutes. They could have had an hour, to each one of those. You understand? They left out certain things. He said they even left out the one about Sarah Chapman. You understand? And for whatever reason, he probably left out a lot of other different stars too. Situations that they could have spoke about. You understand? I have a problem with the documentary, and I'm just gonna let you know that the reason I have a problem with the documentary is that they know that they took my idea. You understand? They know that when I came to them, I laid out what they should do and how the documentary should be. You understand? She could say whatever she want to say. I talked to those producers before I even talked to her. They wanted to know what I had, what I was bringing, my pictures, all that stuff like that. And I told them about me, Tim, and Kirk. You understand what I'm saying? And how it would go. They did the same thing. This ain't the first time they stole from me, man. If you look at the Notorious Big, if you watch the Notorious Big, that part about the shoes, I had that in my book. And I was talking to K.O. Copeland. He was one of the writers of that movie. And I told him about when I let Big use my shoes at Soul Train Award. You had this old flunky ass dude, Mike B, get on Angie Martinez's show and talk about, yo, Big, he wore mixed max shoes and he went out there and performed. When you go look at the film, when you go look at Big performing that on that show, ain't nothing mixed match about them shoes. There was $800 Maury's, size 14D. Big World 14E. E means that his shoes is a little wider than mine. He struggled, but he put them motherfuckers on and he went out there and performed. Those was my Gators that he had on. You understand? They did a little skit trying to disrespect me in the movie. You understand? Nothing to do with that. Puff ain't gonna have nothing to do to try to stop that because he can't. Because if he could stop it, it would have been stopped. You know why he can't stop it? Because Puff know people right there at Netflix. Don't think he don't. And I don't know if this guy still worked for them, but he was part of the Flavor Unit, Shakim. He was part of the Flavor Unit. He was good friends. He was cool with Puff and them. Flavor Unit and them, Queen Latifah and them, they was cool with Puff. If Puff would have sent the cease and desist over there and they could do it and he had the power and they wasn't right, they would have been done it. You see it's still rolling, right? It's still going on, right? He ain't got that power no more. You understand? Now, could he sue them because they used his likeness or used him and stuff like that? I don't know. I'm not that versed in they using him. You understand? If they could steal your whole damn idea, your whole redo that he had some kind of disdain, dislike, or that he idolized in a sense, he wanted their girl. Or he wanted to be a part of their girl. I don't know why. Yo, bro, this dude was, I don't know if he was in love or in hate for Tupac. He wanted to be an actor. He auditioned for Juice. But Pac beat him out for that Bishop thing. You understand what I'm saying? He wanted to be a part of that. Just go, and not so many years ago, when Puff started getting into that drugs and started using drug stuff, he started revamping some of Tupac's speeches. And if you think I'm lying, go look at the Grammy speech he did. Go look at a couple of speeches he did. It was the same exact words Tupac had said. That he was gonna start this whole revolutionary of our people. That's Tupac. Black Lives Matter, the Black Liberation Movement, that was Pac. The Black Liberation Movement. Black Lives Matter, come on, bro. This dude, everybody know that he had some kind of, I don't want to say disdain taste, but he had some kind of.
While 50 Cent's documentary continues to draw huge attention and widespread praise, it hasn't escaped criticism. Gan Deal has stepped forward with pointed remarks, claiming that certain elements of the project weren't entirely original. According to him, some ideas appeared to closely resemble concepts he had previously put out, suggesting they weren't the result of fresh investigative work but rather reused without proper acknowledgement. His comments have stirred new debate, redirecting part of the conversation away from the documentary's success and toward questions about creative credit and how the project was actually put together behind the scenes.
Was about to come out, and she was talking about all the perils, everything that she went through in the music business and with Diddy. All the men that they slept with together, because there were men that they slept with together. There were swinging times that they slept with together. I don't know, man. How do you put your girl through some shit like that? Or how you look at your girl and knowing that she's another dude? What kind of demonic mind you have to be that far gone where that shit don't bother you, and got rid of him? They swimming with the fishes.
Wow, man. So she was about to expose all that in her book, them sleeping with men together.
She was going to expose everything. I heard it was tell all.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. Just curious, right? Did you know that Diddy and Kim had that type of relationship back then in real time?
Yeah. Yep. Because I know somebody personally that lives in Atlanta that was swinging with them, and I would never mention his name because he's a good brother and he knows my family down there. You know, he knows my family down there, and I would never, put his name out there like that. He's been in the music business. He done put a lot of groups, A-listed groups out there.
They just did a whole thing with the girl that he was dating was the one that was putting the wiretaps and all of that out. It was a clear case. She came, hey, I was the one who was doing the wiretaping and all of this, right? The tapping. So I knew about this before she came out and said that she was the one that was doing it. I was sitting there like, damn, he know everything she doing. He know her conversations. I'm sitting there like when I'm sitting there right there next to him, when I'm hearing them saying, this is what Shakira Stewart was saying to Kim Porter on the phone that made him mad. That made him so mad at Shakira Stewart when he went to L.A. Reid party, hit him with the chair. You don't think if he hit a man with a chair for dating this girl, they gonna have a fight at home too. You know what I mean? That's why, they say he busts her nose up on the boat. And have you ever been to Sandro Pay's see a brother play a mandolay? Remember that was in his song? I need a good woman next to me. So then it happened in what was it, Sandro Pay? Like that island. And then he bust her nose. They tried to make it seem like she slipped and fell. She slipped and fell and broke her nose. Nah, the truth was she slipped and fell and landed on his fist. Yeah, but that's what happens when you put your hands on females. I don't really have much respect for a man who's physically abusive towards women, man. I kind of think they be kind of suspect.
He also addressed the increasing speculation that 50 Cent could eventually release more unseen footage online, noting that once that kind of content is out there, it's nearly impossible to contain. Gene pointed out that if anyone genuinely had the leverage to shut the documentary down, it likely would have happened by now. In his view, the fact that the project continues to circulate speaks volumes about what's happening behind the scenes, prompting questions about how much power Diddy actually still holds, and whether that influence has already begun to fade.
Them up involved, looking around, seeing what was going on. And let's just be clear, it sounds like her house was a house of, professional freak-offs. So who knows what he saw or what could have happened to him while she was busy entertaining people and pouring and getting tips, as she would say, for her after-hour life.
Oh, yeah. He was, I'm going to say he was surprised to hear that.
School bus driver. No, was he surprised or was he like, zip it, you talking too much? Because that's what it looked like to me. It looked like you talking a little bit too much. They don't need to know about that. While she was sitting up there, because I was a bus driver and I was this, and I worked at the after hours.
In Sean's own words, in Diddy's own words, he had said he had a sigh of relief learning that he was the son of a hustler or a gangster. Like he wanted that status. He wanted to say that he was a sigh of relief is a wild thing to say, that your daddy was a gangster or a hustler. That's what you heard that he was.
Well, I mean, like Tim said, they had a bunch of blaxploitation movies being played around the house all the time. They grew up with the Mac playing. They grew up with Superfly playing. Like, I mean, if that's what you got going on, you got two women in the house and there's no men around, and these are what the little boys are watching. You got basketball players coming over late at night. You got hustlers coming over, PIMPs coming over, women who looked like they were modeling for Jet magazine coming over. Like it sounds like the nature of the environment is what shaped their perception of what cool was. So yeah, I mean, I'm sure for him it was, oh man, that's who my dad was. So I'm sure for him, it made him feel good because all of that stuff that he was watching, he really came from that. But that was really his legacy. And yeah, I'm sure for him, it felt good to know that his dad was this big hustler who turned out to be a snitch.
He also spoke about what he described as Diddy's long-running fixation on Tupac, emphasizing that it wasn't just a passing issue but something that influenced his behavior for years. He suggested that this mentality affected many of Diddy's behind-the-scenes decisions, guiding both his personal moves and professional strategies. According to Gene, that preoccupation became a defining trait, shaping how Diddy carried himself and operated throughout a significant chapter of his life.
The situation where they say he was trying to shape Misa into his mother. Can you see that? Like,
yeah, with the blonde hair and yeah, and all of that. I mean, somebody
really
asked a question: what kind of man puts his hands on his mother? The same kind of man that parties with his mom, the same kind of man who kisses his mom in the mouth, the same kind of man who seems to have accurate knowledge that his elderly mother can put both of her hands, her palms, on the floor and while she's standing up, bent over.
Oh damn, I ain't seen that one. Oh.
You never seen the Instagram video when he was talking about how his mom is still young and spry and how she still liked the party and how they was getting a IV drip?
Oh. Oh, damn.
And she was kissing him in the mouth on the video. And he was like, yeah, my mom can bend over and touch the floor with her palms.
No.
It's a very, very, very...
He seems to be having, and again, I know the freak offs that his son is there. Like, it seems like he likes to get down with his kids.
Yeah. But that wasn't all. Just to hear Little Rod say, like, the boys were around. Roger Bonds talked about the children as well. What kind of parenting relationship is that? But then again, that goes back to the conversation of Lori Harvey, Steve Harvey's daughter. It was all known that she was spotted in them streets with Justin, and then she was spotted in them streets with Diddy, and they all tried to sit there and pretend like that wasn't what it was. Like, I don't know if anybody has not noticed, but ever since Diddy got pinched, they've all been trying to pretend like all of the stuff that we've seen that happened, that they was all involved in, didn't happen. If Lori Harvey was hanging out, and it's kind of weird, like the whole relationship with Justin looks weird. He looks like Mini-Me with Dr. Evil. It's weird. Like, why are there people? Why is there sexual behavior going on? And why are people naked in front of their kids, G? Doing all kinds of stuff. And meanwhile, Misa's running around making comments about how she don't like the way that Eric Sermon was depicting her in the documentary. You don't like the way you're being talked about in the documentary. You don't like the fact that, because see, it wasn't Gene Deal, because Gene Deal said he wasn't there, and thank God that he was able to admit that. Kirk Burrows did say that he was there and present when Diddy was beating the brakes off of
The documentary does leave out some notable elements. One omission that stood out to many viewers was the limited attention given to Kim Porter. As Diddy's longtime partner and the mother of his children, she played a major role in his life, yet her story was only briefly acknowledged. Porter's sudden passing in 2018 at just 47 years old, officially attributed to pneumonia, has continued to spark public discussion and unanswered questions. Because of her deep and lasting connection to Diddy, many viewers felt that glossing over her story made the documentary feel unfinished and raised curiosity about what other important details may have been left on the cutting room floor. Interview. Kim had a front row seat to Diddy's life, from his personal relationships to his business moves, and even the moments that never made it into the public eye. Yet, the documentary barely touched on her role. Multiple sources suggest her story was deliberately left out, likely because it was seen as too sensitive or controversial to cover. Jean, who knew Kim personally and looked out for her on several occasions, believes she understood far more than most people realize. In his view, omitting her perspective removed a crucial layer of context, leaving the documentary feeling incomplete despite how central she was to the events unfolding behind the scenes.